A News Channel 3 investigation uncovered VDOT employees warned just how dangerous closing two crossings at the same time would be for Hampton Roads.
But as internal emails show, VDOT didn't listen. Investigator Jessica Larche is here with more. Jessica?
Hey guys, I spent the last 2 days pouring through those internal VDOT emails. Here they are right here. There are more than 300 of them. And what I have learned by going through all of this is that many people, including VDOT employees, said that closing two crossings was a bad idea. As people sat traffic at the Monitor Merrimack, some up to 7 hours, many wondered what logic led VDOT to shut down the only two other crossings at the same time.
What were they thinking about?
News Channel 3 has obtained more than 300 emails that give insight into VDOT's thinking days leading up to the traffic troubles and the firestorm that followed. 2 days before the JRB and the HRBT were set to close for repairs, VDOT's Regional Traffic Operations Manager Stephanie Hanshaw wrote, "I am concerned about the closure of both the eastbound HRBT and the southbound JRB at the same time this weekend." He continued, "Please work together to come up with different options to better facilitate traffic demand." No one heeded Hanshaw's advice. Emails that followed said the work had been approved by District Administrator Dennis Hewer months ago, and we do not have other choices to get the work done. After the traffic trouble made headlines, VDOT Superior Constance Sorrell wrote a scathing email about the traffic snafu to VDOT Deputy Chief Charlie Kilpatrick. She said, "What would we have done in the region if the Monitor Merrimack had had a very bad crash or some other event that would have caused it to be unusable?" She continued, "From a security standpoint, this was clearly not acceptable planning." She also said that Hewer called Kilpatrick Saturday night but did not convey the extent of the backups and delays. During a news conference days later, Kilpatrick admitted VDOT got it wrong.
While work was done, it was not done to the level that I would expect for closure of a major facility.
And get this, before the closures, News Channel 3 questioned Mark Davis about their so-called need to work on both crossings at the same time. Did this have to be done right now on both of these roadways right now, or could this have waited?
I wish it could.
But Davis wrote an email to Hewer about his interview with News Channel 3, explaining what he said and what he didn't, writing, "The one thing I did not tell them." All right, tomorrow night at 11, hear what VDOT didn't say in that interview before the closures, plus the politician one VDOT employee blamed for pushing back the HRBT work from May to September. Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.
News Channel 3 investigation into VDOT's internal emails reveals that they ignored warnings by their own employees not to close two crossings at the same time. Tonight, investigator Jessica Larche's digging reveals what VDOT employees withheld from News Channel 3 days before the tunnel closures.
I've spent the last few days digging through nearly 300 of VDOT's internal emails, and they reveal money may have been part of the decision to do maintenance on two bridges at the same time. This is the traffic trouble countless cars, trucks, and SUVs were stuck in a few Saturdays back. Some of you sent emails to VDOT while you were trapped in traffic. S.M. Winger of Hampton wrote, "Next time you come up with a stupid idea, why don't you run it past someone with an IQ?" Well, internal VDOT emails reveal VDOT employees did question District Administrator Dennis Hewer's plans to close both the JRB and the HRBT on the same weekends. VDOT's Regional Traffic Operations Manager Stephanie Hanshaw wrote, "I am concerned about the closure of both the eastbound HRBT and the southbound JRB at the same time this weekend." He continued, "Please work together to come up with different options to better facilitate traffic demand." But project engineer Mike Davis responded in part, "We do not have other choices to get the work done." The next day, News Channel 3 questioned Davis about their so-called need for double crossing closures at the same time. Did this have to be done right now on both of these roadways right now, or could this have waited?
I wish it could.
He said the HRBT work was pushed back from May and couldn't wait. And he said the JRB contractor was able to acquire the materials to do the work early, and it had to be done on the same weekend as the HRBT work. But in an email from Davis to Hewer after News Channel 3's interview, he said, quote, "The one thing I did not tell them is the incentive associated with the JRB work that gives the contractor $50,000 for each weekend that they are completed earlier than scheduled." Davis went on to say to Hewer, "This would mean that if we stop the contractor, we would be in a position of paying the contractor the incentive for the weekend they did not work due to our directions." But another email from construction engineer Tom Druitt actually said the incentive was $200,000 per weekend. The email suggests it was the district's goal to be frugal with taxpayers' money by not delaying the JRB work, but VDOT Deputy Chief Charlie Kilpatrick said that shouldn't take precedent over good planning.
Delivering a project on time and on budget is never an excuse for making a bad decision.
A bad decision, it seems some at VDOT blame partially on Governor Bob McDonnell's office. In this email from a VDOT employee to a disgruntled driver before the closures, Christopher Przicki said the HRBT work has been planned for 6 months. However, the governor's office and VDOT received requests from a variety of outlets to delay the work that was planned originally for May. He continued, "We have waited as long as possible." After the Hampton Roads version of Carmageddon, Governor Bob McDonnell blamed VDOT for poor planning.
When I've heard about what happened this weekend in Hampton Roads, it didn't seem like VDOT did the planning the way they should. And I've certainly said we cannot have this traffic mess again. You've got to stagger the hours. You got to plan a little bit better.
A plan VDOT System Operations Chief Constance Sorrell was clearly critical of in this scathing letter to Kilpatrick. She said, "From a security standpoint, this was clearly not acceptable planning." Sorrell also said the district did not work with traffic engineering to do an analysis or simulations as to what traffic backup there would be. She continued, "What would we have done in the region if the M&M had had a very bad crash or some other event would have caused it to be unusable?" Again, when News Channel 3 talked to Davis before the tunnel closures, we asked about their backup plan if something happened at the M&M.
What is the plan if there is something that happens with the M&M? There's no other way to get to the south side.
There's always, that shouldn't happen, but if it does happen with the HRBT, with the paving operations, it's something that you couldn't do quickly, but you could pull the contractor out there, safety it up, and reopen it.
Kilpatrick later said of that plan, "I am not sure that this what-if scenario was properly vetted." Now, as for the information Davis says he did not share with News Channel 3 during that interview before the closures, spokesperson Lauren Hansen says he was not withholding or hiding details. He was just giving an update to his boss. Now, we also reached out to VDOT for an on-camera interview about these emails, but our questions were only responded to via email. Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.
Channel 3 investigation into VDOT emails about the traffic nightmare shows safety concerns were brought up just before officials shut down the crossings, and one of the emails shows that someone asking for them to come up with a different option. Investigator Jessica Larche has more on VDOT's response.
As people sat in traffic at the Monitor Merrimack, some up to 7 hours, many wondered what type of planning went into this double crossing closure. Well, after digging through more than 300 internal VDOT emails, News Channel 3 has learned VDOT was scrambling to tie up loose ends days before the JRB and the HRBT were set to close. In this email dated 4 days before the closures, Chris Mason with Keenan Advantage Transport said he drives a fuel vehicle and they are not allowed to use tunnels in the Hampton Roads area. A VDOT employee forwarded that email saying this is the second such inquiry we've received today about gas tankers. Any suggestions? You see, since VDOT shut down the JRB, Mason and others like him couldn't use the Monitor Merrimack. Seems their only option was to go through Richmond. And health concerns for contractors came into question too. An email from VDOT employee Jesse Neal on the morning of the closures reads, "Our ventilation fans will be relied upon heavily to ventilate the tunnels for the workers." He then said, "My concern is we only have 4 supply fans available in the eastbound tunnel." He ended by saying, "We will do the best we can, but we may want to look at this for future work." And if you thought this backup was bad, it could have been even worse. According to this email, there was a plan to have a single lane closure on the Monitor Merrimack on Sunday nights from 8 to 6 a.m. VDOT employee James Poff asked in an email, with closures at the other bridge crossings, do we want to disallow Sunday night lane closures with the potential of creating a choking point? But that plan was nixed only 4 days before the planned closures. News Channel 3's digging into VDOT's internal emails has revealed there were critical bumps along the road that led to this baffling backup. VDOT's Regional Traffic Operations Manager Stephanie Hanshaw wrote, I am concerned about the closure of both the eastbound HRBT and the southbound JRB at the same time this weekend. That was ignored. Then, after the Hampton Roads Carmageddon, Constance Sorrell wrote this scathing email saying, from a security standpoint, this was clearly not acceptable planning. And at the height of driver frustration, spokesperson Lauren Hansen wanted to silence some negative comments on social media, saying, I don't recommend two-way communications on social media. I would shut the comments down. While News Channel 3's investigation is just now shedding light on what happened at VDOT behind closed doors, top officials knew they had to come clean.
I don't think that sorry is enough, and it's time for us to really focus on how we can rebuild the credibility of VDOT with the Hampton Roads region.
Now, to read some of VDOT's internal emails that have been a part of our investigation, just head to WTKR.com and click on the VDOT investigation at the top of our homepage. Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.